apologize, man. My air conditioner was on high. I had a little cough, but I went indoor. Hello, welcome to Youth Normality. Stop killing your own. And I like to, like always, disclaimers. And I'd like to speak on the disclaimers for a minute. Number one, I am not racist. It would be a possibility for me to be racist. I love all races. But accountability is something that we all have to take responsibility for. It would be impossible for me to be racist. My mother is Cherokee, African American, my grandmother, and my grandmother Ellie McCurdy, my great grandmother Mom Pearl, both had white brothers. My father had Sicilian background through his mother, and African American also. It'd be impossible. One of the top 5 lovers of my life was a white woman named Rachel. When I lived in California, I'm not racist. When I went to college, I'm not racist. It's one of my disclaimers, and because I don't want what I'm saying to be perceived as racism or purely facts. And even though I am like I have sympathy and empathy for all races. I'm extremely worried and compelled to talk about my own, if that is not offensive, which I doubt it could be, but just in case. That's just my disclaimers, just to start off. Also, I was having it's funny how the enemy will attack you. I was having a conversation with a young lady who wanted me to help her son yesterday, and she brought up the fact that I am the CEO of Bloodline Entertainment, and the first question she asked me was, and don't laugh, the first question she asked me was, Bloodline Entertainment, was it a gang? And I laughed and I said, that's probably one of the reasons that you're having trouble with your son, because like you choose to have discussions without having proper information. I'll explain. Anything you deal with nowadays in life is dealing with your bloodline or the bloodline. If you own a puppy and you pay $1,400 for that puppy, then the reason that the owner is able to charge you that amount of money because he can tell you about the bloodline in which the puppy was produced. When you go to horse race tracks and stuff like that, the reason that they charge so much for mares or the horses to be mated with the other horses, because usually the sperm comes from a horse that is running Kentucky Derby, or comes from a family or a lineage that comes from bloodline. So my entertainment company has nothing to do with gangs. It just is affiliation with the understanding that anybody who I sign or help record music, I have to find out whether or not the stuff in which they are talking is authentic. I refuse to have someone speak on a platform about, if you come from the streets and you want to talk about the streets, fine. But also you got to know what comes along with that. So if like we on tour and your son talking about gay stuff and something happened, then you can't blame me. If if it just as well as if a person who want to talk about love and that's not popular, I will allow them to do that. If a person want to talk about rock and roll music, I will allow them to do that. If a person wants to talk about anything that just so happens to not be familiar or popular, doesn't mean that their creative product can't be distributed or put out. Therefore, the meaning behind my label, which is Bloodline Entertainment, meaning like everything that comes through that is authentic in the origin in which it speaks. Okay, so let's go back to what we were talking about as far as stop killing your own. So, as of date, these are statistics, don't blame me, don't shoot the messenger. As of date in PA, we just talked about Philadelphia, right? There are 250 homicides, right? Okay, cool. So a homicide is done by a person who kills a person. And usually it's done in the same race. And the information in which I think that a lot of our youth don't understand or can't elaborate correctly is because they don't understand the reasoning behind them killing each other and the methodology behind them killing each other. And we're not talking about New Jersey, New York, Chicago. This is just Philadelphia. So you imagine if you add up all of that stuff. Okay, cool. So we are not just talking about we are talking about the methodology. So let's get into the methodology real quick, right? And this is why I'm not a racist. I'm just talking about where the methodology came from. So I will read directly from the Willie Lynch letters. This speech was said to have been delivered by Willie Lynch on the banks of the James River in the colony of Virginia in 1712. Lynch was a British slave owner in the West Indies. He was invited to the colony of Virginia in 1912 to teach his methods of slave owners there. And I'm just going to read a couple pages and then you can understand how elaborately genius and evil this whole situation is occurring right now without any help from them. They don't no longer need to participate in the methodology or the terrorism, if you will, that was going on then, because we're doing it ourselves. So let's talk about Willie Lynch and what he said in the opening speeches. It says, "Greetings, gentlemen, I greet you here on the banks of the James River in the year of our Lord 1712. First, I shall thank you, the gentlemen of the colony of Virginia, for bringing me here. I am here to help you solve some of your problems with slaves. Your invitation reached me on my modest plantation in West Indies, where I have experience with some of the new, where I have experimented with some of the newest and still the oldest methods for control of slaves. Ancient Rome will envy us if my program is implemented. As our boat sailed south of James River, named for our illustrious king, whose version of the Bible we cherish, I saw enough to know that your problem is not unique." Excuse me. While Rome used cords of wood as crosses for standing human being bodies along the highways in great numbers, you are here using the trees and ropes on occasions. I caught the whiff of a dead slave hanging from a tree a couple miles back. You are not only losing viable stock by hangings, you are having uprising. Slaves are running away. Your crops are sometimes left in the fields too long for maximum profit. You suffer occasional fires. Your animals are killed. Gentlemen, you know your problems are. I do not need to elaborate. I am not here to ameliorate your problems. I am here to introduce you to a method of solving them. In my bag here, I have a foolproof method for controlling your black slaves. I guarantee every one of you that if installed correctly, it will control the slaves for the next 300 years. My method is simple. Any number of your family or your overseers can use it. I have outlined a number of different among the slaves. I take these differences and make them bigger. I use fear, disrupt, distrust, and envy for control purposes. These methods have worked on my modest plantation in West Indies and will work throughout the South. Take this simple little list of differences and think about them. On top of my list is age, but it's there only because it starts with A. The second is color or shade. There is intellect, size, sex, sizes of plantations, status on plantations, attitudes of owners, wherever the slaves live, in a valley, on a hill, east, west, north. South has a list of differences I shall give you on line of actions, but before that, I shall show you the district is stronger than trust and envy, stronger than evolution, respect, or admiration. So that's just basically him saying that he's going to give the slave owners things to use that not only will control the slaves, but will increase the profits of the slave owners and the plantations, and you won't have to like kill slaves anymore. You won't have to you losing viable stuff to certain third. It's being continuously used, and okay, so it's 1712, and we're in 2020, 300 years. Obviously, it's working. So you have to understand that a lot of these children don't understand that if I kill you and we're both black, I've killed all of your children that you possibly can have. I've killed all the discoveries that they possibly can do. I've killed all of the dreams they possibly can have. Not only that, I am starting a war between these two families. Say if one is the Johnsons and one is the James. So now the Johnsons and James will be in revenge killings, century. So that can multiply, and it's incomprehensible to understand the amount of damage and the amount of stuff that could be used, or the resources, or this and that, because one is killed, the other one going to jail for the rest of his life, or he going to get killed, and now the families is beefing with each other, and that's going to go on. So you killed us, we kill you. We kill us, we kill you. This and that. So a lot of the times, through music and all other stuff and attitudes and advertisements, people don't understand that the agenda is to make your race in the future less compatible. So even if a generation or two gets to climb the hill to success, eventually that generation will die off, and then the slavery process will begin over again. So I'll give everyone a chance to digest what I just said. If you need to rewind it or listen to it again, I give you the opportunity to. What I'm basically saying is, coming from my own experiences, I'm not here to tell anyone not to defend themselves. I'm not here to tell anyone if somebody trying to harm you, it's in the dirt. What I'm trying to express is that no one is pushing the conversation to these youths or these young people or the older people, whoever, that this has been installed purposely to control us as a race. Now I'm speaking to the Hispanics, the blacks, the Mexicans, the Italians, the Puerto Ricans. I'm speaking to us. Like, me and my brother John was having a conversation about, he got sons, I got sons. We was talking about if our sons start dating, they're like, we want to see, well, all right, I don't care what the girl look like, we want to know what environment they come from. Because, if the environment is destroyed, or if the environment is deteriorating in any form or fashion, then not only do I have to do it, my son is going to inherit that. So if he does sleep with this woman and have children with this girl or whatever, and I don't know, I don't care about what everybody else thinks. I pray that my children sticks to the natural format of relations. I pray that my sons date women. I don't care who else. I don't care about your opinion. Whatever, you do whatever you want to do with your children. I'm talking about mine. I pray that my sons date women. So I'm saying, if my sons date women, then I want them to pick a woman that comes from an environment of sustainability, which will enable whatever they create to be stable so that their generation or whatever lineage they have can have an also chance of stability. And it all comes back from to the point of like the option of having disagreements being manifested in a way other than killing. You know? Like back in the days when I was growing up, I had a problem with a dude. We fought each other. We might fight each other every time until one of us get tired. That's cool. So later on down the line, we probably be friends. But the decision-making process in their heads is now, like, if I have a problem with this dude, I have to kill him. That's it. Like, in the day, there is no, the mental breaking down conflict is, there is no other option because no one is installing an option of resolution. So it's like the conversation has to start in the home. Like, all right, son, you got a problem with dude? Y'all fight? That's cool. You know, I figure it out. I come and, you know, if y'all got a problem, all right, cool. We try to escalate this in the third. You try to talk yourself out of it. Don't worry about people call you corny. Don't worry about people call you a sucker. This and the third. You can walk away. You have options. You have options. When you exclude the options from the person, then they're gonna take options from their environment. Meaning, if I don't install options into my children's life, then my children will go and create options or